5 players who forced the NBA to change rules. Rules aren't always fun, but in games like basketball, they make sure that the game stays fair and fun to watch for everyone. But even with the plethora of regulations that today's NBA stars are forced to abide by, every once in a while a player will figure out how to leverage the system in his own favor. When this happens, the NBA is forced to make some rule changes. From off-the-court mishaps to game-changing hacks, here are 5 players who forced the NBA to change its rules. Kevin Durant. Let's start with a player that you're all sure to know. If we could choose one word to describe NBA star Kevin Durant, it would be overpowered. You've seen him play, you know what I mean. The dude's 6 feet 6 inches and has a 7'5" wingspan. When he started in the NBA with the Thunder, he was already one of the most dangerous offensive players in the world. His size and speed meant that he could penetrate to the goal with ease, and he had the shooting skills to sink mid-range shots and even threes with ease. The man's impossible to guard. That's why the league took notice when he found a hack to make guarding him even more of a challenge. In his 3rd season, Durant began using what has been called his rip-through move. He would intentionally draw fouls from his defenders by swinging into their arms when he shot to draw a foul. That meant that he ended up spending a lot of time at the free throw line racking up points. The league realized that Durant's rip-through exploited the game and made it so that the procedure would draw a common foul instead of a shooting foul. Crisis averted? Not so fast. Durant can still be seen trying to draw shooting fouls from time to time using other strategies. Luckily, he's a good enough player to make up for it. Adam Morrison. If you thought that move stunk, wait until you get a load of this. Adam Morrison in his early seasons was known for neglecting his hygiene so much that he stunk his own team out of the locker room. You would think that millionaire players would have some sense of personal hygiene by the time they get to the league, but that's not always the case. Morrison was known for consistently refusing to shower and wearing the same few shirts over and over again all season long. To make matters worse, he would come to practice with chewing tobacco in his mouth, and he wasn't too careful about where he spit. Understandably, his team was not happy about this, and they would often be pretty assertive in their attempts to force him into the shower. And sometimes they succeeded. Because of this incident, the league has had to make their hygiene rules tighter than they've ever been before. But this kind of thing still happens a lot more often than you'd think. Some players come into the league not knowing the hygiene rules, with one unnamed player even refusing to wear deodorant. Yuck. This rule is hardest on the teammates, and so they're usually the ones who get it sorted out. Zaza Pachulia. Our next entry on this list holds the league record for forcing the most rule changes in a single season. Zaza Pachulia isn't a super well-known player. He's typically been a bench player. Well, in 2017, he started turning heads when he was getting enough of the popular vote to start in the NBA All-Star Game. With only a 6 points per game average, he was beating out players with 20, 25, and even 30 points per game averages. The league pretty quickly realized that something wasn't right and looked into it. It turns out that Zaza was born in Tbilisi, Georgia. That's Georgia, the Eastern European country. And he was the only player in that entire league at the time from that city. So people all around Georgia rallied behind him, shooting enough votes his way to shoot him past NBA superstars for a place in the All-Star Game. As admirable as that national pride is, he just didn't belong there. And so the league changed the rules so that fan votes had 50% less weight, putting control back in NBA hands. But that's not where Pachulia's misadventures end. During one game with the Warriors, he almost ended Leonard Kawhi's career. They were losing the game 74 and 55, and Kawhi was one of the top scorers. And so during one of Kawhi's jump shots, Zaza stepped into his landing space and caused Kawhi to land on his foot. Kawhi was injured and out of the series, and the Warriors almost took home the win as a result. Speculation abounded as to whether or not Pachulia did this intentionally, but only he knows. What we do know is that the NBA instituted the Zaza rule shortly afterward, giving the refs to call the maneuver as either a flagrant or a technical foul. Speaking of flagrant, I'm going to flagrantly plug my channel and ask you to subscribe. I do basketball content just like this multiple times a week. If you want more of it, all you have to do is click that subscribe button and keep coming back. Alright, back to the rule breaking. Shaquille ONeal. I know that you've heard of Shaquille ONeal, but before he was starring in Hollywood movies and hilarious Super Bowl commercials, Shaq was an unstoppable beast of a basketball player. Why? I'll let you try guarding 7-foot-tall, 324-pound Shaquille ONeal in his prime, and I'll bet that you figure it out pretty quickly. But while he was great when he was up close to the rim, Shaq had one fatal flaw. He's one of the worst shooters that the league has ever seen. Despite his playtime, he only sunk one three-pointer in his entire career, and he had a 52% free throw percentage. This led to the Mavericks coming up with a maneuver called the Hack-a-Shaq, which quickly spread throughout the NBA. What did the Hack-a-Shaq consist of? Hugging. Now that doesn't sound so bad, does it? But this was hugging with a nefarious purpose. Players would hug Shaq whether or not he had the ball, intentionally committing a foul and sending Shaq to the free throw line. Now that's usually not something that you want to do on purpose, But in this case, they knew that they were sending the worst shooter in the league to strike out before handing possession of the ball over to them on a silver platter. That's right, Shaq wasn't the one exploiting the game, he was the victim. Eventually, this got so widespread that fans were having to sit through 3-hour games full of bad free throws. They were booing their own teams for pulling hack-a-shacks. Eventually, the league fixed this with a rule, sort of. They made it so that fouls away from the ball give the foul team a free throw and possession of the ball, but only in the last 2 minutes of the quarter. Thanks, NBA, I guess. James Harden. Last on our list is James Harden. James is no pushover, but when his average points per game jumped from 9.9 to 25.9 in only a single season, the league was forced to take notice. They noticed that along with this point increase came a massive increase in the number of free throws he got in a game. He was being fouled an average of 10 times per game, and that's where most of his extra points were coming from. So how do you do it? Harden's offense was perhaps more flagrant than anyone else's on this list. He was drawing fouls by locking arms with defenders as he went in for points. Players would try to unlatch, even putting their hands up straight in the air to signal their unwillingness to be hindering Harden. But by then it was too late, and the whistle had already been blown. Harden got his free throws, and they got a foul. The league was forced to add the Harden rule, making it illegal to draw a foul by forcing contact. So which of these exploits do you think was the worst? And do you think the NBA handled it in the right way? Let me know in the comments down below. If you liked the video, don't forget to dunk on that like button and subscribe for more great content just like this. I'll see you all in the next video.